Alrighty, welcome back, boys and girls. It's your main math man, Mr. Shank, coming to you live from Alameda International High School. In this video, we're going to be working on the even number problems for assignment 3-7. So we're solving these system of equations. That means two or more linear functions, and then we're going to use that substitution or replacement to be able to solve it. And once we get an x and a y value, again, that's that solution point. So make sure that you are mindful of what we're looking for and what we have. So again, be sure to watch this. So watch this after odd problems. Odds are done. The reason why is because I already went through these in the other video. Okay, so in number 2, it reads like this. It says 2x minus y equals -1, and then I have y equals x minus 1. So what I'm going to do is just like the other video, I'm going to take one of these equations. Since this has y equals and then an expression, I can take and plug that into the other equation. So I'm going to rewrite it like this. So that way it's all in terms of one variable. So I have -1, since it's times 1y, and then I have times x minus 1 equals -1. So again, make sure you're seeing how there's 1y right here. So that means I just have to write the coefficient as -1. Make sure you can multiply carefully. So I have 2x, and then I have -x plus 1 equals -1. Combine like terms, I have x plus 1 equals -1, and I can subtract 1 from both sides to get my value for x. So I'm going to say x is going to be -2. And so now, since I have my value for x, I take and place it back into the other equation. So now I'm going to say y equals, and then I have, instead of x, I have a -2, and now I can say -1. Again, make sure you're replacing those values very carefully, and then we're going to say y is going to be -3. Make sure you're writing your solution. That means where these two functions would cross. So I'm going to say x is going to be -2 and y is going to be -3. So I'd say I have a solution for this system at -2, -3. So again, make sure you have an x and a y value. Moving on to number 4, 2 equations, take one of them, plug it into the other. So I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to rewrite the second equation in terms of just x. So I have 3x, and then I have plus 2 times, and then I have, let's say, 2x plus 8 equals 9. Make sure you can do your distributive property. Again, there's plenty of space, so if you need to, I can draw on the side here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this little bit of space right here to show my distributive property. So I'm going to say, okay, I have 2 on the outside, draw on my box, and then I have on top, I have 2x and +8. Multiply these two together, so I have 4x, and then I have 2 times 8 is 16. Again, be mindful of those positive and negative signs for yourself. So now I can write underneath, I have 3x plus 4x plus 16 equals 9. So again, anytime you are stuck or unsure of how this works, be sure to ask, pause, raise your hand, I'll be there to help. Now we can combine like terms. So I have 3x plus 4x is 7x plus 16 equals 9. So notice how everything else in the equation stayed the same. Make sure I can get all the constant terms onto one side. So I have 7x equals, let's say, -7? Sure. Divide both sides by the coefficient, and so I have x equals -1. Now that I have a value for x, I can plug it into that other equation. So I'm going to rewrite it. Let me actually draw that arrow a little bit better, so that way I don't take up a bunch of the space here. So I'm going to say, take and plug it into that equation. So now I'm going to say, all right, y equals, and I have, instead of x, I have a -1. So I have 2, use parentheses to show multiplication. So I have 2 times a -1 plus 8. Now I'm going to say 2 times -1 is -2 plus 8. And then I can have y equals +6. Now that I have an x and a y value, I can write my solution. So I'm going to say my solution for this system is going to be -1 and +6. So that means they cross at that ordered pair. Moving on to the last one on the front, last even numbered problem on the front. So for number 6, it gives me this equation. So I'm going to take and rewrite it into my equation here. So I'm going to say I have 3x minus 2. Make sure you show parentheses, so I have times, and then I have 4 plus x equals -7. So make sure when you're substituting this in, you should have an equation all in terms of one variable. So I should only have, an x in this equation or just a y in this equation. Similar to how I just had a y in that last equation, I just have an x in this one. Make sure you can show your distributive property. So let's say, let's actually do it on here, so that way I don't have to use all that space. So let's do, I have -2 on the outside, and I'm multiplying that times each of the terms inside the parentheses. So I have +4 and a +1x. Different signs means negative, so I have -8, and different signs means negative, so I have -2x. Rewrite that underneath where you multiplied, everything else stays the same. So I have 3x minus 8 minus 2x equals -7. Combine like terms, so I just have x minus 8 equals -7. And then I can add 8 to both sides to get rid of the constants on the left. So I'm just trying to get the variable equals a value. So again, make sure you're trying to find a value for one variable, take and then substitute it back into the original equation. So I'm just double checking over what I have. All right, so now I'm going to plug that value of x back into that equation. So I have y equals 4 plus, instead of x, I now have 1. So I'm going to say y equals 5. Again, real simple, nice and easy. Make sure you write your solution as an ordered pair. So I'm going to say my solution is going to be at the point 1, 5. So again, x value, then a y value. On the back, it has this for number 8, gives our first equation in terms of x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to plug it into the other equation for x. So I'm going to write it like this. I have 2 times a 7 minus 2y, and I have plus y equals 5. Again, make sure you can show your distributive property. So I have 2 times everything inside the parentheses. So I have 7 and a -2y. So this is going to be +14 and a -4y. So 2 times -2 is going to be -4. So I'm going to write that underneath. So I have 14 minus 4y plus y equals 5. Combine like terms. I have 14 minus 3y equals 5. Solve for y. So I have a two-step equation. Subtract 14 from both sides. Whatever do to one side, gotta do to the other. So I have -3y equals, let's say, -9. Divide both sides by -3. Whatever it has in the coefficient, that's what we divide by. So I have y equals +3. Take that value, plug it into your other equation. So I have x. So I have x equals, and then I have my equation. So I have 7 minus 2, show parentheses to use multiplication. So I have 2 times 3. Instead of a y, I now have a 3. So I'm going to say x is equal to 7, and then I have -6. So I'm going to say x is going to be 1. Use those two values to have an ordered pair. So I have x value and my y value creates an ordered pair. And so the solution to this system for number 8 is going to be 1, 3. Moving on to number 10, almost done. Again, make sure you can pause, rewind, replay it if you need to. For number 10, I have an equation for y, so I'm going to actually plug that into the other one. So I'm going to rewrite it like this. I'm going to say, all right, I have negative 2x minus, and then I have 1 times this amount. So got to be careful on this one. I feel like a lot of people are going to mess up because of the negatives. So just make sure you're saying, okay, I have negative 1 on the outside because I have just one y value, or excuse me, I have one y variable, and I'm replacing that with this expression. I have equals 6. Make sure you can do distributive properties. So I'm taking, and let me actually do that on the side. That way I don't skip a step. So I have negative 1 on the outside. Inside the parentheses, I have negative 8 and a negative 3x. So again, all we're doing is we're multiplying each of the terms inside the parentheses by the outside amount. So I have, and be very, very mindful of those positive and negative symbols. So I have same sign positive, so I have positive 8, same sign positive, so I have positive 3x. So now I can rewrite it. Everything else outside of the parentheses stays the same. So I have negative 2x, and then I have plus 8 plus 3x equals 6. Combine like terms, just x plus 8 equals 6, and get x by itself, I have x equals negative 2. Take that value, plug it into your first equation. So I should just have an equation in terms of just y. So I have y equals negative 8, and I have minus 3. And instead of x, I now have a negative 2. Use parentheses to show multiplication. So I have these two multiplied together is going to be positive 6. So again, negative 3 times a negative 2, positive 6. Everything else stays the same. Make sure you add those integers carefully. So I'm going to say this is going to be equal to negative 2. Okay, if you're unsure, always use that Desmos calculator to double check. Write your ordered pair x and y. So I'm going to have negative 2 as the solution for this equation. And then lastly, at the very, very end, already made it. Maybe even if you are listening, you can even have possibly a wonderful starburst. But you have to prove to me that you were actually listening. Okay. Take this expression, plug it into your equation. So I have negative x minus 1 times the quantity, y minus, nope. Let's back up. Slow down. Got a little too excited with that starburst there. Make sure, and I was just about to say this too, make sure when you're rewriting your equation, you should have the same variable. So I shouldn't have an x and a y when I rewrite it. So that means I have to substitute it in for x. Okay, so let's try this again. I have negative 1 times, now my expression y minus 8, then the rest of the equation. So I have minus y equals 0. So I'm going to say, all right, make sure you multiply carefully. So I have negative y plus 8 minus y equals 0. Combine like terms, negative 2y plus 8 equals 0. Two-step equation, get the y by itself. So I have negative 2y equals negative 8. Divide by the coefficient. So I'm going to say y equals positive 4. Take that value, plug it into your original equation, and simplify it to get a value for x. So I have x equals, instead of y, I now have a 4, so I have 4 minus 8, and so I'm going to say x is going to be equal to a negative 4. Again, make sure you're always writing your solution as an ordered pair x and y. So I have my x value as negative 4, my y value as positive 4. So the solution, meaning where those two lines cross, is going to be where those two lines for the system cross is going to be negative 4, positive 4. It's going to make sure you can ask questions, make sure you put your name on it, and as always, super slam the subscribe button.